Classic Doctor Who companions, ranked. Hello and welcome to another video. Yes, I know it's a shock, I've never actually done this before. I think I did like a top 5 TARDIS team video about God knows how long ago. Like 7, 8 years, who knows. But I've never actually done a ranking vid of the companions. Now, this is just going to be the classic series. I know. It's I feel bad because honestly, I'd probably put Amy pretty high. But if I include her, I have to include every bugger else in New Who as well, and I frankly just can't be arsed. So we're doing the classic companions, ranked, every single one of them, including the unit guys. Let's go. 31. Chameleon. I don't think there's any doubt that Chameleon is the worst classic companion. I mean, he's one of those that barely counts because they're in like 2 stories, and it's just such a pointless character. It's just such a bizarre decision to bring him on board, and I know the extenuating circumstances that the guy who built it and operated it died tragically, and nobody else knew how to bloody work it, but and that's why they got rid of it again. But, on screen it comes across as genuinely bizarre because they introduce him, he disappears for like 4 or 5 stories, and then they write him out, and he's like, okay. And I think it was JT on Who's Views who said they kind of missed a trick, didn't they? Considering that the character was a shapeshifter, they didn't even really need the robot. They could have literally just had somebody playing him. They could have even had different actors every story, or actresses playing the character. But I guess they just didn't occur to them, or they just didn't put that much thought into the character to begin with. So yeah, Chameleon has to be last place. Next one, number 30. Probably no great surprise. Adric. Now, at this point, I think I have to point out, I don't really hate the majority of the classic companions, love. Even the ones that are going to be low, I don't really dislike. They're just not as good as others that I like more. Adric's kind of the exception, because he's a bit crap, isn't he? The character's a bit crap. The actor's a lot crap. He's just kind of crap. The amusing thing that I think is that JNT came up with the idea of this character, and he was supposed to be like this artful dodger character, and that like never came across on screen except kind of in State of Decay, and that was because Terrance Dicks was writing the character from the brief, and nobody else apparently did. The rest of the time he was just an annoying, obnoxious little squirt. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's a fan cliche, but I can't really argue with it. He's a terrible character, and it doesn't work at all. However, he's not far off from number 29. Tegan. I'm sorry, I'm really not a fan. I never have been, either of the character or the actress. Yeah, she's just annoying, dude. She's just an annoying, loud-mouthed annoyance. And it's like, many people have pointed it out as well, that she often seems to shove the Fifth Doctor around, which just doesn't feel right. And I know some people argue that you kind of repeated this with Perry, except that she's with the Sixth Doctor, and the Sixth Doctor doesn't put up with any of that crap, whereas the Fifth Doctor kind of does, and it just doesn't work. And I don't think the actress is very good either. There's a reason I call the original Davison companions the terrible trio, which is not terribly fair to one of them, but I think it is to the other 2. She gets a little bit better in season 20, but yeah, I don't like Tegan, and the fact that she's in almost all of the Davison era probably contributes to me not liking that era much. There's other reasons, but yeah, Tegan sucks. 28. Dodo. Now, no offence to Jackie Lane, but I don't like Dodo very much. She's not helped by some of her stuff being missing, although I think we've kind of got most of it, apart from like the Savages and bits of Toymaker. It's obvious, from reading the behind the scenes stuff that they just didn't know what to do with her, man. They brought her in basically as a last minute because they were going to have Anne Chaplet be the companion from the massacre, and then completely changed their minds because they freaked out over having a historical companion, just like they did with Katarina, and they just kind of shoved her in the last minute, and they just clearly did not know what the hell to do with her shifting accents and. To be fair, I think she's actually quite likeable and quite funny in The Gunfighters. But I mean, she's barely in War Machines. And she's just annoying as hell in The Ark. And especially the Celestial Toymaker. Where like she's supposed to be a teenager, isn't she? And they're like writing her like she's a slightly slow 10-year-old. Again, I don't think it's the actress's fault here, because, again, I think she's quite good in The Gunfighters. But, yeah, she was not a good character, to be honest. 27. Captain Mike Yates. A bit harsh, some might feel. I don't dislike or hate Yates or anything. I do think he's the least interesting of the unit regulars. He's okay sometimes. He's just I just find him a bit flat. And every time I watch Spearhead from Space, I'm kind of disappointed that Captain Monroe didn't get to be our captain for the next 5 seasons instead, because I just think that character and that actor was much more charismatic and interesting. Again, I don't hate or even dislike Mike, so don't throw things at me. He just comes across as a bit bland. Sorry. 26. Katarina. Now, this is one of those, do they even really qualify as a companion kind of things, but most of them count it, so I'm going to... obviously, for a long time, we didn't really... I mean, was there anything of Katarina before the 2000s? I think the first we saw of Katarina was like episode 2 of Dalek's Master Plan, wasn't it? Which was turned up in like the early 2000s. So she wasn't even a character that was... She was just a character you read about in reference books, basically. Obviously, we've had 2 more episodes of Dalek's Master Plan come up, and Adrian Hell was really good in it. And, she's... I have to say, there is no dislike on my part here at all. Judging from those episodes, she was really cute. She was actually quite interesting. And it's a shame they didn't do more with her, really. But again, she's in 5 episodes total? A couple of which are still missing. I can't really justify putting her any higher. But I might have done if she'd done more. 25. Sarah Kingdom. Kind of same thing, same reason. Obviously, Jean Marsh is a great actress. Sarah was a kind of compelling character from what little we have, because obviously we still don't have the great majority of her stuff. And again, she's like, does she even really qualify anyway? Because she's kind of like a guest star, really, rather than a companion. And even though I know we count her, but she doesn't even cross over 2 stories like Katarina does. She's in 1. Again, no hate or dislike at all, but she's barely there, and what we do have, we don't have much of it. We've only got a bit, so... Okay, 24. Susan. Caroline Ford, again, an important character, a beloved actress, but she's a little bit irritating to me and a little bit whiny. And you can see why the actress left, because they promised her basically like a Sarah Kingdom character, and then she's kind of almost a bit Dodo-esque in that she's supposed to be a teenager, but she's really more like a preteen. And again, I don't hate, but I'm not a big fan. I find her a bit irritating. She's definitely the weak link in the original TARDIS crew. Sorry. 23. Victoria. Deborah Watling. Again, no hate on it. I'm going to stop saying that. I don't hate any of these, okay? Kind of the same reason as Susan. I mean, the actress is cute. She's got good chemistry with Fraser Hines and Trout, and obviously a lot of her stuff is still missing. We've still got a lot of like Fury from the Deep and Abominable Snowmen and that. We have got more of her in recent years, and I like her. I don't dislike her. She is a bit wet on occasions. I would say less than Susan. She doesn't tend to have hysterical hissy fits, certainly as much as Susan. But she's not my favourite. I like her, but she's okay. I'm just not a massive fan. 22. Ben. Michael Craze. Ben's okay. I'm not that taken. Again, a large part of it is probably because we have so little of his actual bloody stuff. I mean, what have we got? We've got the War Machines, a bit of the Moon Base, a bit of Underwater Menace, and that's kind of it. I mean, a bit of Faceless Ones, well, one episode really. And that's kind of it. The rest of it's animation, which obviously does not get across the actor's performance properly. Again, he's okay, no hate, but there are better male companions, I would say. 21. Turlough. Mark Strickson. Now, Turlough's quite interesting. Obviously, his introduction to the show in the Black Guardian trilogy, where he's trying to murder the Doctor, is pretty interesting. And I do like the actor. He does bring some interesting stuff to it, and you can see that he's actually trying to do stuff. Even in scripts where he has nothing whatsoever to do, he's trying to bring shades to it that aren't necessarily there. That being said, Again, I don't dislike Turlough. He's one of the better actors, certainly one of the better companion actors of the Davison era. It's not one of my favourite eras, and they don't really do that much with him outside of his introductory stories and his last story. He's okay, I guess. 20. Nyssa. Again, I as I've said before, I sometimes unfairly lump her in with the terrible trio from season 19. The problem is less with her than the fact that the character is this quiet character, and she's just completely subsumed by the dual obnoxiousness of Adric and Tegan. I mean, and it's a shame, I think, because I think Sarah Sutton's not bad at all. And she has a nice chemistry with Davison. And I think if she'd been the solo companion, it would have been a whole lot better. And of course, we do get a glimpse of that in Arc of Infinity. And I think it was a mistake. I think it was a mistake to get rid of her, but I think it was a mistake to have Adric and Tegan. I get the feeling she'd be a lot more popular if it was just her and Davison. I know they've done quite a few big finishes with that, but I don't really count that, so, and she's cute. I mean, she's nice, she's pretty, she's cute, she's smart. It's a shame she didn't get more of a chance. So I can't put it higher than 20. 19. Sergeant Benton. Now, I quite like Benton. Shame we never actually knew his first name. It's a bit odd, isn't it? But he's a likable enough character. He's not one of my absolute favourites. He brings a lot more kind of charm to it than I would say Mike Yates does. And while he's obviously not up there with the Brig, I like him. You can't really imagine the Pertwee era without him. Yeah, I like Benton. Again, there's just others I like more. But he's fine. 18. Polly put the kettle on. Oh, that's not her last name. I like Polly. Obviously, I like her because she's really, really cute and really hot. But she's very likable. The actress is very competent. The problem, as with Ben there, is that so much of her bloody stuff does not exist anymore, or is represented by not particularly good animations for the most part. So I don't really have much more to say than that. I mean, she's likable, she's very cute. I think there's probably better female companions, but it's not helped by the dearth of her material. We really need to find more Ben and Polly stuff. We just do. 17. Liz Shaw. Now, I like Liz. I think there's been a bit of a... she was kind of forgotten for a long time, and then there's been a bit of a revisionist thing in the last decade or so where, they kind of venerated her a lot. I'm kind of in the middle of that. I do like her. I like the actress. The character is interesting. My problem is I don't think they ever wrote her as strong again as she was in Spearhead from Space. And I think that was down to Bob Holmes. Because she's hilarious in Spearhead from Space. She's really strong, but she's really sarcastic. She's really very funny. And I don't think they quite captured that again in other stories. Again, obviously she has a good turn in Inferno because she's doing the dual role thing. I mean, you can see why they got rid of her. On the other hand, they could have done more with her than they did. And I think it's a shame that we lost that really kind of sarcastic edge that she had in Spearhead. She'd probably be higher on the list. 16. Jo Grant. I kind of oscillate with Jo. I mean, obviously I don't dislike her. I like her. Katie Manning's cute. The character is often very, very inconsistent. Even within the same season, even within story to story. I mean, I'm sure people have said this before. I've said this before. Look at season 8. There's a huge leap in characterization between Terror the Autons and the Mind of Evil, where she's suddenly this really competent agent who even practically single-handedly breaks up a prison riot. And then the next story, The Claws of Axos, she's back to being like a shrieking 10-year-old. And that kind of makes her character difficult too. She's very infantilized a lot of the time. I think she gets away with it more than a lot of them, just because of Katie Manning's charm and her obvious chemistry with Pertwee and Nick Courtney and etc. So I like her. I mean, she's just not one of my absolute favourites, but she's fine. 15. Perry. I really like Perry. I think she gets unfairly lumped in with the likes of Tegan, whereas I find Perry funny rather than annoying, and I find her banter with the Sixth Doctor funny rather than annoying and bitchy. And I think she's got more reason to be. She's got kind of more reason to be bantering and sarcastic. It's just the nature of with the character and with the Sixth Doctor's character, and I don't have a problem with her at all. And I know some will say it's just that Nicola Bryant's hotter than Janet Fielding, and yeah, I guess so. But I can't say I've ever been let's just say I think her hotdom is slightly overrated and exaggerated, to be honest. There's other companions I find a lot more attractive. Not to do her down in any way. But I like Perry. I like her. I like the Sixth Doctor and Perry. I love season 22, so that's probably a big part of it as well. Again, not one of my absolute number one favourites, but I like her. 14. Now, this is the one that will probably be slightly controversial. Sarah Jane Smith. And again, at this point, I'm liking these companions. There's no bitching and hating from me. I do think she's kind of overrated. I like Sarah, don't get me wrong. Again, her character's a little bit inconsistent because she's kind of a lot stronger and a lot more independent in the season 11 than she is later on. On the other hand, she's kind of a lot more likable with Tom. To be fair, though sometimes again you do get that slight that slight kind of infantilization. There's moments in like Ark in Space and Brain of Morbius where she's really kind of, not really acting like a supposedly grown woman. And Brain of Morbius is also pretty bad. Her acting can be a bit pantomime in that one, I find. But generally speaking, I do like her. I mean, I did a review of Mask of Mandragora a few weeks ago because I watched it a few weeks ago. And I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed her and Tom in it. So again, no bitching, no moaning. I do think she's overrated. I don't think she's the greatest companion of the era, of any of the classic show. But I like her. So that's fine. 13. Stephen. I like Stephen. He's not my favourite male companion of the Hartnell era, but I do like him. Peter Purves is a good actor. He has good chemistry with Hartnell. Again, we have a problem in that a lot of his stuff is bloody missing. Most of Galaxy 4, all of Mythmakers, still a large chunk of DMP and Massacre and Savages, which is his departure. So he's still one of those characters where you're missing a large chunk of this. But I enjoy his performances. He's a good companion. He had really good chemistry with Maureen O'Brien as well. And it's a great shame that partnership did not have a lot more to do and a lot more stories. Again, there was a lot, as he said himself recently, there was a lot of unrest behind the scenes in season 3. Which is unfortunate. But I think Stephen's a pretty good character, and I like him. 12. Damn, this is going on a bit, isn't it? 12, I would have to say, is Barbara. I like Barbara. I mean, she is like standing proof of that all these fucktards. It's just, there weren't any good female characters in Doctor Who until Russell T Davies and Rose Tyler are just so fucking retarded and full of shit, let's be honest. Because she was like one of the strongest fucking women on television in the 60s, and she was right there from the bloody start. And she went through some bloody crap as well. The character, I mean. Jacqueline Hill's a really good actress. She's great. She's got great chemistry with Hartnell, great chemistry with William Russell, and she's a really strong character. Who again, as it was just something that seems to be lost on a lot of the modern ones. She's a really strong woman who doesn't have to be a fucking bitch in order to do that. Modern writers, please take note. 11. Harry Sullivan, Ian Marter. I think Harry's great. I think he should have been in longer than just one season. He's really charming and really funny, and he's just so likeable. He's got great chemistry with Tom. He's got great chemistry with Liz Sladen. I really like Harry. He's one of the best male companions, I would say, and I do think it's a shame that we only got like one season of him, really. Because he was really good. Maybe he should have been in there instead of Captain Yates from the start. I don't know. Maybe. But I really like Harry. He's underrated and he's great. 10. We're in the top 10 now. My favourite classic companions. The top 10. 10. Leela. Louise Jameson. What a wonderfully original idea for a companion that you'd never get nowadays in a million bloody years. Wonderful character, great performance by a great actress, really striking, really memorable. I don't think she's quite as strong in most of season 15 as she is in season 14, except for maybe like Fang Rock and Sunmakers. And her departure is famously a bit naff. But I really like Leela. She's just great. What else is there to say? 9. Jamie McCrimmon, Fraser Hines. I sometimes think that I've underrated Jamie in the past because he's so because he's so prevalent in the Troughton era, like in all but one story. You kind of overlook him almost. You kind of take him for granted, and that's not and obviously he's not a hot girl either. So don't tend to look at him as much. But I really like Jamie. I mean, obviously he's great with Troughton, but he's great with everybody. He's great with the guest characters. He's great with the companion actresses. He's great with Deborah Watling. He's great with Wendy Padbury. He's a really good, strong, funny, likable, heroic male companion character. And you can't imagine the Troughton era or Doctor Who without him. I love Jamie. 8. Ian. The man with the coolest name ever. I mean, that puts himself points up there, right there, doesn't it? I think Ian's great. I think William Russell is great. He's one of those actors who's just he's a really good actor, but he totally gets the show that he's in. He can be very serious and very dramatic, but he's also a bit like somebody else who's on this list, even higher up. He's got that little bit of a twinkle. He knows what kind of show he's in. He's taking it seriously, but he knows what kind of show he's in. I think he's fabulous. I love Ian. This is a proper gentleman hero. We could do with a few more of these on TV nowadays. That's all I'm saying. 7. Romana 1. Mary Tamm. I really like the first Romana. She's not my favourite, as is probably obvious. I think she's great. I think she's really funny. She's really strong. Mary Tamm's great. Gorgeous, obviously. Great chemistry with Tom. It's kind of a shame she didn't last longer, but on the other hand, if we had more of her, we'd have less of the other one. At least if J&T continued to have his way. Personally, I would have just kept Romana on forever, but that's just me, because, yeah. But yeah, number 7, Romana 1. And I know you could debate whether or not to, keep them as the same character, and I did. But we rank Doctors differently, so to hell with it. 6. This will be another controversial one, probably. 6 is K9. I love K9. I don't care what anybody says. K9 is one of the greatest companions in the history of Doctor Who. I mean, let's face it. There's the Daleks, there's the Cybermen, and there's K9 in terms of public memory and perception of Doctor Who. And K9's wonderful. I mean, obviously, John Leeson is the definitive one. I am completely blanking on the other actor's name. David Brearley, that's it. Sorry, I was blanking on the other voice actor's name. He's perfectly fine in season 17. He's perfectly fine. Obviously, John Leeson is the icon. He's perfectly fine, and I love K9. He's a wonderful companion. Obviously, he's a very useful companion in much the same way like the unit guys are, in that they can, and blow things up and shoot people and shit like that. But he's a funny companion. They have the whole Jeeves and Wooster thing going on with him and the Doctor, with the servant possibly being smarter than the master. And the master, yeah. And it works just as well here as it does there. I love K9. He's an icon. Like it or lump it. 5. Vicky. Maureen O'Brien as Vicky. I love Vicky. I've said before, Susan, the weak link of the original lineup. But then she goes and we get Vicky, and I don't think there is a weak link in that lineup. I think she's wonderful. I think she's funny. She's absolutely adorably cute. She's really brave. She's really into it. She's, she's one of those characters that's actually into the adventure and not just squealing and squawking and crying and having, having to be rescued all the time. She's great. I mean, she even leads a revolution in the Space Museum. And the thing is, it will forever piss me off what happened, because like Ian and Barbara leave, and she goes from being the Susan replacement to the show's female lead in The Time Meddler, and she does an absolutely fantastic job of it. I mean, I love Ian and Barbara, but you don't miss them at all in The Time Meddler. You've got Stephen there being a very interesting new character, and you have Vicky taking on the female lead, and she's fabulous. It's an absolute crime we didn't get another full season with Vicky as the actual female lead companion. and with Steven, because they've got great sparring as well. I love Vicky. 4. Sexy little Zoe. I love Sexy Little Zoe, and if you don't know, it's a channel joke. I've been referring to her as Sexy Little Zoe for like, I don't know, 10 years now at this point, since I started doing reviews. I love Wendy Padbury. I love Sexy Little Zoe. The character's fabulous. I mean, she's so fun, she's so cheeky, she's so smart. She thinks she's even smarter than she is, and even smarter than the Doctor. She's got great chemistry with Troughton, with Fraser Hines. She's just great. She's like the main reason, apart from the obvious that, just we want them all. I'd love them to find more of the Space Pirates, just so we could have more of Sexy Little Zoe. Yeah. She's fabulous. Number 4 is Sexy Little Zoe. 3. Ace. I love Ace. I love Sophie. Sylvan Soph, that was my era, dude. I became, as I've said before, I became a fan Christmas '86. So basically, the Sylvester era was my era. Not, I was experiencing other things from, VHSs and stuff lent by a friend. But that was the era that was on TV when I became a fan, and that's my kind of defining era. It's not my favorite era, but it's my defining era as a young fan. And Ace kicks so much ass. I can't put Ace any lower than 3. I just can't. 2. The Brigadier. I mean, he's the Brigadier. Nicholas Courtney. I mean, we'll never get another one, I don't think, unfortunately. The Brig's a legend, the Brig's an icon. It's a mainstay of the Pertwee era, but stretched back to 2 classic Troughtons and all the way through to Sylvester. Who doesn't love the Brig, man? Who doesn't love Nick Courtney? Yeah. He's got to be number 2, and that almost feels like underrating him. But number 1, as I'm sure anyone familiar with this channel or who can count can probably guess. Yes, it's Mel Bush, played by Bonnie Langford. Because I'm joking, but I've just realised I've forgotten her. I do this every time. I write the fucking things down, and I still forget one. I don't believe it. Put her in just after Adric. She's better. She's cuter anyway, that's for damn certain. But I'm not a fan. But number 1, just in case, for those of you who thought I'd momentarily taken leave of my senses, number 1 is Romana 2, of course. Played by Lalla Ward. I love Romana 2. I love Lalla. I love Tom and Lalla. The Tom Lalla K9 team is my favourite TARDIS team, and she's my favourite companion. She's gorgeous. She's fun. She's got that. I love that kind of aristocratic aloofness, but being underpinned by this kind of almost subversive, sly wit and sense of humour. And she does that so wonderfully. I love her. She's my favourite companion. Season 17 is one of my absolute favourite seasons. And she and Tom and K9 pretty much, they pretty much save season 18 for me. I mean, certainly after she leaves, my interest in season 18 goes off a cliff. But yeah, Romana 2 is without a doubt my absolute favourite companion. And I think that's about it. We've gone on for over 30 minutes. You're probably sick of hearing from me. I will talk to you again soon. Comment.